Have you ever looked at a man and thought, something feels wrong, but I cannot explain it? Most people believe danger comes with a loud voice, an angry face, or an obvious lie. But the most dangerous men rarely announce themselves. They do not arrive wearing a mask that says, I will waste your time, drain your energy, and break your confidence. They arrive with charm. They arrive with promises. They arrive with attention. And often, by the time a woman realizes what is happening, she has already invested her emotions, her trust, and sometimes even years of her life. Machiavelli understood a truth that many people still refuse to accept. Power is rarely taken by force alone. More often, it is gained through influence, confusion, and control. A person who wants power over you does not always attack you directly. He slowly changes what you accept. He moves your boundaries one step at a time. What seemed unacceptable yesterday becomes normal tomorrow. What felt disrespectful at first becomes something you learn to tolerate. And what you tolerate today often becomes your prison tomorrow. The greatest mistake is not trusting the wrong person. The greatest mistake is accepting behavior that should never have been accepted in the first place. Because every unhealthy relationship begins with a small compromise. A small excuse, a small act of disrespect that is ignored, then another, until one day, you wake up and realize you have been giving everything while receiving almost nothing in return. Machiavelli would argue that people reveal their true nature not through words, but through repeated actions. Anyone can speak beautifully. Anyone can promise loyalty. Anyone can pretend to care. But actions are difficult to fake forever. Patterns always expose character, and when you understand those patterns, you stop judging people by what they say, and start judging them by what they consistently do. In this video, we will uncover 13 male behaviors that should never be accepted, ignored, or explained away. These are not random mistakes. They are warning signs. They are clues that reveal how a man sees power, respect, and commitment. Some of these behaviors are subtle. Some are obvious, but all of them have the ability to damage your peace, your confidence, and your future if left unchecked. The first signs may seem small, but as Machiavelli understood, small things often decide the fate of entire kingdoms. 1. He only values you when it benefits him. One of the oldest tricks in human behavior is selective attention. A man calls when he needs comfort. He texts when he feels lonely. He seeks your support when his life becomes difficult. But when you need him, he disappears. When you want understanding, he becomes busy. When you face challenges, he suddenly has no time. This behavior is dangerous because it creates an illusion of connection. At first, it feels like he cares. After all, he contacts you often. He shares his problems. He asks for your help. But over time, you begin to notice a pattern. The relationship revolves around his needs, his feelings, and his priorities. Machiavelli believed that people reveal their intentions through what they consistently pursue. If a man only approaches you when he gains something from the interaction, then he is not pursuing a relationship. He is pursuing a resource. Many women stay in these situations because they focus on moments instead of patterns. They remember the sweet conversation. They remember the apology. They remember the rare act of kindness. But power belongs to those who study patterns. And the pattern here is simple. He takes more than he gives. A healthy man values your presence, even when he gains nothing. He checks on you because he cares, not because he needs something. He listens because your feelings matter, not because he expects a reward. Respect is measured by consistency, not convenience. When someone treats you like an option during your difficult moments, but expects priority treatment during his own struggles, he is showing you exactly where you stand in his life. Believe the behavior, not the explanation. 2. He constantly tests your boundaries. Manipulative people rarely break boundaries all at once. They test them little by little. First, he makes a disrespectful joke and watches your reaction. Then he ignores something you asked him to respect. Later, he pressures you into something you clearly said no to. Each step is small enough to be excused. Each step appears harmless by itself. But together, they form a strategy. Machiavelli understood that power expands when resistance weakens. A person who wants control over you will first discover how much you are willing to tolerate. Every ignored red flag becomes permission for the next one. This is why boundary testing is so important to recognize. The issue is not the individual action. The issue is the message behind it. The message says, your limits matter only when they are convenient for me. Strong people respect boundaries because they respect people. Weak people challenge boundaries because they want control. Pay attention to how a man reacts when you say no. His reaction reveals more about his character than his behavior when you say yes. A respectful man may feel disappointed, but he accepts your decision. A controlling man becomes angry, guilt trips you, pressures you, or acts like you are the problem. The moment someone treats your boundaries as obstacles instead of standards, the relationship becomes unsafe. Because boundaries are not walls designed to hurt people. They are lines that protect dignity, self-respect, and peace. And anyone who repeatedly tries to cross those lines is showing you that your comfort is less important than his desires. 3. He creates confusion instead of clarity. One of the strongest signs of emotional manipulation is constant confusion. You never know where you stand. One day he acts deeply interested. The next day he becomes distant. One week he talks about the future. The next week he avoids serious conversations. His words and actions move in opposite directions. Confused people are easier to control because they spend their energy searching for answers instead of observing reality. Machiavelli knew that uncertainty creates dependence. When people are unsure, they become focused on winning approval, gaining reassurance, and solving mysteries. They stop evaluating the situation objectively. A sincere man may not be perfect, but he is understandable. His intentions become clear through consistent behavior. You do not spend every day trying to decode hidden messages. When a relationship feels like a puzzle that never gets solved, there is usually a reason. Sometimes confusion is not an accident. Sometimes confusion is the strategy. A person who truly values you does not leave you guessing about your importance. He does not send mixed signals to maintain control. He does not keep one foot inside the relationship and one foot outside. Clarity is a form of respect. Confusion is often a form of power, and the person who keeps you confused is often benefiting from your uncertainty far more than you realize. 4. He makes you feel guilty for having standards. One of the clearest signs of manipulation is when a man tries to make you feel guilty for expecting basic respect. You ask for honesty, and he says you are too demanding. You ask for consistency, and he calls you impatient. You ask for loyalty, and he claims you are insecure. Instead of improving his behavior, he attacks your standards. This tactic works because many people fear being seen as difficult. They begin questioning themselves. They wonder if their expectations are too high. They start lowering standards that once protected them. Machiavelli understood that people gain influence when they control how others think. If a man can convince you that respect is unreasonable, then he no longer has to provide it. If he can make you doubt your own judgment, he gains power without effort. A healthy relationship does not require you to apologize for wanting honesty, communication, and consideration. These are not luxuries. They are foundations. Pay attention when a man responds to your concerns. Does he listen and try to understand, or does he immediately make you feel guilty for bringing them up? The answer reveals whether he values the relationship or merely values his freedom from accountability. 5. He refuses to take responsibility. Every person makes mistakes. The difference lies in what happens afterward. Some men admit when they are wrong. They learn, improve, and move forward. Others spend their lives avoiding responsibility. Nothing is ever their fault. Every failure has an excuse. Every conflict is caused by someone else. Every problem comes with a story, explaining why they should not be blamed. At first, this behavior can be difficult to notice. His explanations may sound reasonable. His excuses may even seem convincing. But eventually, a pattern appears. The same mistakes happen again and again. Machiavelli believed that character is revealed through outcomes. not promises. A man who constantly avoids responsibility also avoids growth, because growth requires honesty. Improvement requires self-awareness. When someone refuses to admit mistakes, relationships become impossible to repair. Problems cannot be solved because they are never acknowledged. Over time, you may find yourself carrying the emotional weight of every disagreement. You apologize first. You make peace first. You fix what he helped break. And slowly, without realizing it, you become responsible for two people, while he remains responsible for none. A man who cannot own his actions cannot be trusted with your future. Accountability is not weakness. It is one of the strongest signs of maturity. 6. He disrespects you in small ways. Many people wait for dramatic signs of disrespect. They expect insults, betrayal, or public humiliation. But disrespect often begins much smaller. He talks over you when you speak. He dismisses your opinions. He mocks your goals. He makes jokes at your expense. He ignores your feelings when they inconvenience him. Each action seems minor on its own, but together they reveal a deeper truth. Respect is not measured during special occasions. It is measured in everyday moments. Machiavelli observed that small actions reveal large intentions. Anyone can behave well when circumstances are easy. The real test comes in ordinary situations where no reward is expected. A man who truly respects you does not need an audience to show it. He values your thoughts even when he disagrees. He listens even when he is busy. He protects your dignity even during conflict. Disrespect grows when it is tolerated. The first ignored insult makes the second easier. The second makes the third seem normal. Eventually, behavior that once shocked you becomes something you simply endure. Never underestimate small signs of disrespect. They are often the early chapters of much larger problems. 7. He wants control, not partnership. There is a difference between leadership and control. A strong man may guide, advise, and support, but he also respects your independence. He understands that a relationship involves two individuals, not one ruler and one follower. A controlling man sees things differently. He wants authority over your choices. He wants influence over your friendships. He wants to decide what is acceptable, what is appropriate, and sometimes even what you should think. At first, this control may appear as concern. He says he is protecting you. He says he only wants what is best for you. He says he worries because he cares. But genuine care creates freedom. Control creates dependence. Machiavelli knew that power often disguises itself as protection. People willingly surrender freedom when they believe it is being offered for their benefit. This is why control can be difficult to recognize. It rarely introduces itself honestly. A controlling man may slowly isolate you from supportive people. He may discourage your ambitions. He may create situations where your confidence depends on his approval. The goal is not always obvious dominance. Sometimes the goal is dependency. The moment you feel afraid to make simple decisions without someone's approval, a dangerous imbalance has already begun. Strong relationships are built on mutual respect. Weak relationships are built on power struggles. And anyone who values control more than partnership is showing you that he does not want an equal. He wants influence. 8. He only changes after consequences appear. Many people confuse reaction with growth. A man ignores your concerns for months. He dismisses your feelings repeatedly. He refuses to improve his behavior. Then, when he realizes you might leave, he suddenly changes. For a few weeks, everything improves. He becomes attentive. He becomes affectionate. He becomes exactly the person you wished he had been from the beginning. Then the crisis passes, and eventually, the old behavior returns. Machiavelli understood that temporary adjustments are not the same as transformation. Real change comes from conviction. Fake change comes from fear of consequences. Watch carefully when a man's behavior improves. Did he change because he finally understood your pain? Or did he change because he feared losing access to you? The answer matters. A person who only changes when faced with consequences is not guided by values. He is guided by convenience. His behavior improves only when maintaining the relationship, becomes more beneficial than continuing the problem. Lasting character is visible even when there is no pressure. Anyone can behave well when something valuable is at risk. The real question is what happens when the pressure disappears. Because genuine growth survives comfort. Performance does not. 9. He uses your kindness against you. Kindness is one of the most beautiful qualities a person can have. But in the hands of the wrong man, your kindness becomes a tool he uses for his own advantage. He knows you forgive easily, so he repeats the same mistakes. He knows you are patient, so he keeps you waiting. He knows you try to understand people, so he gives endless explanations instead of meaningful change. Over time, he begins to rely on your good nature more than his own good behavior. Machiavelli understood that people often exploit what they cannot earn. A manipulative man does not appreciate kindness the way a healthy man does. He studies it. He measures it. He calculates how much he can take before you finally refuse. The danger is that kind people often believe love means enduring everything. They believe loyalty means staying no matter what happens. But loyalty without limits becomes self-destruction. A relationship should reward kindness, not punish it. The right man feels responsible for protecting your trust. The wrong man sees your trust as an opportunity. Never allow someone to use your compassion as a substitute for accountability. Kindness should make a relationship stronger, not make exploitation easier. 10. He lies about small things. Most people worry about major lies, but Machiavelli would tell you to watch the small ones. A man who lies about simple things is revealing something important. He is showing that truth is not one of his priorities. Perhaps he lies about where he was. Perhaps he changes details of old stories. Perhaps he makes promises he never intends to keep. Individually, these moments may seem insignificant, but trust is not destroyed by one giant lie. Trust is destroyed by hundreds of small cracks. A truthful person values reality, even when reality is uncomfortable. A dishonest person values advantage, even when advantage requires deception. The size of the lie matters less than the habit behind it. When a man becomes comfortable bending the truth, he slowly teaches himself that honesty is optional. And once honesty becomes optional, every promise becomes uncertain. Machiavelli observed that reputation and character are built through repeated actions. The same principle applies to trust. Every truth strengthens it. Every lie weakens it. A relationship without trust becomes a constant investigation. You question words. You question motives. You question intentions. And eventually, peace disappears. 11. He is jealous of your growth. A strong partner celebrates your success. A weak partner competes with it. When you achieve something important, does he support you, or does he become distant? Does he encourage your goals, or does he minimize them? Jealousy is not always loud. Sometimes it appears through sarcasm. Sometimes through criticism. Sometimes through a lack of enthusiasm when you succeed. Machiavelli knew that insecure people often view another person's growth as a threat. Instead of becoming stronger themselves, they try to limit the person rising beside them. This creates a dangerous situation. The relationship becomes a place where you feel guilty for shining. You start hiding achievements. You reduce your ambitions. You make yourself smaller to protect someone else's ego. No healthy future can be built on that foundation. The right man does not fear your growth because he understands that your success does not reduce his value. He sees your victories as victories for the relationship. Anyone who becomes uncomfortable when you improve is revealing a hidden desire. He preferred the version of you that was easier to control. 12. He gives you empty promises. Promises are easy. Commitment is difficult. Many men know exactly what to say. They speak about the future. They describe plans. They make commitments that sound sincere. But months pass. Years pass. Nothing changes. Machiavelli believed that actions carry more weight than words, because words cost almost nothing. Anyone can promise loyalty. Anyone can promise change. Anyone can promise a better future. The question is simple. What follows the promise? A trustworthy man aligns his actions with his words. If he says he will improve, improvement becomes visible. If he makes a commitment, effort follows. An unreliable man survives on hope. He keeps offering tomorrow because he has no intention of delivering today. This is why so many people become trapped in disappointing relationships. They are not living with reality. They are living with potential. Potential can be dangerous when it keeps you attached to someone who refuses to become who he claims he will be. Judge promises by evidence. Judge intentions by action. Judge commitment by consistency. Everything else is only conversation. 13. He makes you lose respect for yourself. This is the final warning, and perhaps the most important. Some relationships do not break your heart first. They break your self-respect. You stop speaking openly because conflict feels exhausting. You stop defending your boundaries because they are constantly challenged. You stop trusting your judgment because you have been made to doubt yourself for so long. Little by little, you become someone you barely recognize. Machiavelli understood that the greatest loss is not losing a battle. The greatest loss is surrendering your position without realizing it. When a relationship causes you to abandon your standards, silence your voice, and betray your own values, the damage reaches far beyond temporary pain. You begin losing the relationship you have with yourself, and that relationship is the foundation of every other relationship in your life. A healthy man inspires greater confidence, greater peace, and greater self-respect. He does not require you to shrink in order to stay. The moment a relationship consistently pulls you away from your dignity, it becomes dangerous regardless of how much history, attraction, or emotion exists, because no amount of affection can compensate for the loss of self-respect. People reveal who they are through repeated behavior. Words can be rehearsed, promises can be invented, excuses can be crafted, but patterns tell the truth. If a man consistently disrespects your boundaries, creates confusion, avoids responsibility, exploits your kindness, or damages your self-worth, believe what his actions are teaching you. The strongest women are not those who tolerate the most. They are those who recognize harmful behavior early and refuse to normalize it. Your time is valuable. Your peace is valuable. Your dignity is valuable. Never hand those things to someone who has done nothing to deserve them. The people you allow into your life shape your future. Choose carefully, because every decision you accept today becomes the life you live tomorrow. If you found this video valuable, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. And tell me in the comments, which of these behaviors do you think is the most dangerous? Your thoughts may help someone else see what they have been ignoring. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.